So Chris Jenkins today, joined by special guest. You know, you were my first TV broadcast person on the show, man.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, Fox
Honored.
Yes, yes. You know, you've made it once you get somebody from TV on the show. But hey, appreciate you joining, man. Today,
anytime.
Anytime.
Well,
I got that on tape now. Anytime.
Anytime that I'm not busy.
We're going to talk about a few things, kind of recap of the season, and then talk about these events that have been happening this week. As you know, our team gives us quite a few headlines these days, man.
Just a little bit. Just a little.
Just a little bit. So let's start with your take on this 2017-2018 season. Good or bad?
I say good because going into the season, I did not think they were going to go 11-5.
Yeah?
You know, I was kind of surprised. I think looking at the schedule before the season started, I started off going maybe around like 9-7, I think was my prediction.
Okay.
Because I thought Tampa was going to win the division, and I thought Atlanta was going back to the playoffs. And I did say the Panthers would get that final wild card spot, but I didn't think it would be because they went 11-5. I thought they were going to be the last team to get in at 9-7, just because looking at the team and everything they had, I thought the Cam Newton shoulder surgery in the offseason was gonna kind of derail this team. At least they get off to a slow start, which they did.
Yeah, he did. But
they were, able to actually catch their rhythm. But yeah, looking at it, I just thought there was too much talent around the NFC. I didn't anticipate all the injuries, so I thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be around. I didn't think the Saints were going to be good. I didn't think the Eagles were going to be. There was just games on that schedule that they had that I didn't think were wins,
right?
And they turned out to be wins. I didn't think they're going to win at New England. Didn't think they were going to win at Detroit. A lot of people, unless you're diehard Panther fans, didn't think that. But I think it's a success because this team surprised me. Now with the guys in that locker room, not a success, of course, because you don't want to get to the playoffs, go one and done, and lose to the Saints for a third time in 1 year.
Yeah.
But for me, surprise, certainly. The thing we have to watch out for is the whole Panther curse. After one winning season, the next season's a losing season. So that's what I'm worried about now.
And I thought that we had broken that with all the success that Rivera's had, but we still have not broken that.
Right, because that weird 7-8 in 1 year or whatever that. That they got into the playoffs, but they were below 500, so it was just weird.
Now, speaking of how the season ended, man, we were both down there in New Orleans, and I was hurt by that loss, because I feel like I'm watching the game and I'm doing my little probability nerd thing in my head, like, we're probably gonna lose, and then they just start this comeback, and it's like they sucked you in,
right? And
then you had that fizzle.
Yeah.
How was that?
Man, like you said, that hurt, because in the beginning I had convinced myself. After the Saints jumped out to that 14-0 lead, I was like, they're not coming back. I was just like, the Saints are better. I even tweeted at halftime. I was like, Saints are just the better team. Like, looking at the first half, I was like, Saints are better. Like, the Panthers did have some self-inflicted wounds. Can't miss those field goals. Can't drop passes in the end zone. But second half, they made me believe. They made me believe. And you look at the stat sheet and you're like, they controlled time of possession. Yeah. They shut down the Saints' run.
I think they had 150 yards. Maybe.
Yeah. You look at the things they did, and they're all things for a winning formula. They kept them out of the end zone for the most part in the second half, but they dug themselves too deep a hole, as they said in the locker room after the game. And they couldn't, the problem was they shut down the run, but then they let up those big chunk plays. Teddy Ginn, hitting them again.
Right. You just knew that was coming, though, right?
Knew it was coming, It's funny because we got down there early. We actually got there Wednesday, so we went to Saints locker room on Wednesday and Friday just to get a feel for what the Saints were saying. Yeah. And we got to talk to Teddy Ginn, and I asked him straight up, I was like, did you feel some kind of way when they let you go in the offseason? He was just like, yeah, of course I did.
Right.
Of course you want to get back at him. I was like, well, would it vindicate things if you beat him in the playoffs? He said, of course.
Right.
He's like, I'm trying to go out there, have a big performance, exactly what he did. I think he had 4 catches over 100 yards and that touchdown. And, big plays over the top is what really hurt the Panthers in that game, because you don't let up 1 or 2 of those, you're in that game.
Yeah. Again, you did it to Ted. Ted's going to do it.
He's going to. You know what his game is, the deep ball. He's running those go routes.
So during that game, Cam Newton, seemingly indestructible.
Yeah.
Got hit again.
Yeah.
Walked off, kind of stumbled a little bit.
Yep.
They announced that he went into the concussion protocol, missed just 1 play.
Right.
And he's back out there. So I wanted to ask you that. I feel like the concussion protocol is a good development thing But I feel like on the quarterback side and throughout the entire league, not just with Cam, that is broken.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because Cam, all season long, I think every time he got hit and it was questionable, like, is it a concussion type hit or not? He only missed one play.
Right.
One play. Never missed more than one play. But any other time, we're in the press box. We see a guy, he walks out, and he's in the concussion protocol, and he's at least, you don't get an update for at least 10 minutes on this guy.
Yeah.
But why does the quarterback only miss one play?
One play.
What are your thoughts on the protocol right now? And the league and how they handled the situation last Sunday?
It's interesting because for what the concussion protocol is, it's supposed to apply to everybody, the same for everybody. But it doesn't seem to be the same for quarterbacks. Because we all know the most important position on the field is the quarterback. You're not winning games if you don't have a good quarterback. You're not winning Super Bowls if you don't have a franchise quarterback, with a few exceptions. So the Panthers in that game, whether they want to admit it or not, I'm not going to call anybody out for not following protocol or whatever, but they knew they weren't winning that game without Cam Newton.
Yeah.
There was no way they were going to put Derek Anderson out there and continue to stay hot and rally to come back and win that game. So, they said after the game, Cam took a hit to his eye or something like that, which was interesting because he had a visor on.
I didn't think about that.
But but he explained that like he went down and I guess the face mask got, I don't know.
Right.
They didn't go into extreme detail as to what exactly happened.
Okay.
All we heard was he got poked in the eye and like you said, went into the tent. I'm sure some discussions were had in there.
For what, 30 seconds?
Words were probably said, like, I am not leaving this game, and Cam goes back out there. And, Russell Wilson did the same thing this season. Remember the Seahawks got fined for not following the protocol.
Right.
So it's not like this is a Panthers Central thing. It's more of a quarterback thing.
And I don't remember what team it was, but it was some guy that looked like he was having a seizure.
And they put him back out there. It was the Texans.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, who was their backup? Case Keenum was a couple years ago. Their backup was in the end zone, took a big hit. He was like seizing up, and they put him back in the game. And then they took him out after to go back through the it's just, it's weird because we know, the teams know. I'm not sure if we all know exactly. We can ask a million questions about what the protocol is because we always ask the Panthers, players that go through it, like, what was it like? What you have to do? Blah, blah, blah. But the teams know what the protocol is.
So where do you think, because we can only speculate, we're not on the sidelines, we don't know the exact procedures, but what would you speculate is going on? Do you think it's the player? Or do you think it's the coach? Or do you think it's the medical guy being scared?
Whew. I think it's part player.
Yeah.
I think it's part coach. But I don't, see, here's the thing with the coach, I don't know if during that time Rivera has any time or insert whatever coach to be over there in the tent. The coach is still
relying on what people tell him.
What people are telling him. He's still got a game to coach, so he's still focused in on the game and waiting to hear updates from said whatever assistant to come over and say whatever.
Right.
So what's going on under the tent is between the quarterback, maybe someone on a headset like your coordinator, someone or assistant coach or something like that, and the doctors. And they're doing the tests and testing everything, and I'm sure if the doctors can tell, like they've been able to diagnose like that if someone has a concussion or not.
Right.
But there's also that I guess, and this is just speculation, there's kind of that risk reward type thing where it's hard to tell someone that's got their mind set on going back in that they can't go back in. Maybe they give them all the warnings and say, this and that, and he said, I don't care, I'm going back in anyway. I don't know if you can do, You're
not supposed to be able to do that.
Right. So I wonder how you are able to do it, if that's what's actually going on.
Maybe they should take that NCAA approach.
Right.
And say that, I forget that word that they use, but when they say the head coach had responsibility for knowing, what's that big word they use? Institutional control, whatever they say.
Right.
Maybe that's
right. And wasn't there some kind of rule where, I can't remember if it's in basketball or football, but if someone looks like they've suffered a concussion and they have trouble getting off the field, don't they have to go back to the locker room for a little bit?
I don't know the details.
Isn't that what happened with Kelsey with Kansas City?
I think so.
And Mariota.
But they're also supposed to have a spotter or a third-party person that's at these games supposed to be able to remove that fact that you might be saying, hey, it's your own risk, and somebody say, hey, no, that guy has to come out. But one play still doesn't seem like the whole process had time to go through.
Right. That's quick, like 30 seconds, like you said. The rule needs to be looked at because it may be out there, but I don't know if it's being followed to the letter of the law. But I don't know, but I think teams are okay. Some team like Seattle they didn't want to get fined, but I think the Panthers would have been okay taking a fine in this situation. Like, let's say Cam came back and led them.
You're going that deep with it, huh? We're okay with the fine. We just need to win this game.
Yeah, it's football, man. These guys. I mean, how many times have we talked to Luke in the locker room post concussion, and you tell them like, the risk and this and that, and he's like, I know the risk. I want to play football.
Right.
These guys are wired that way.
Right.
They want to play.
Right.
And they'll worry about their health down the line, and like if we know the concern, you don't think they know all the risks?
Yeah.
So,
all right.
That's just my thought.
That's your thought, which is why you're here to give your thought.
Could be out there, could be way off, but I just,
We had a headline this week which probably had Twitter world as happy as can be.
Yeah.
They were celebrating Mike Shula. Is it right, Mike Shula? I feel like I said it wrong.
Yeah,
Shula was fired.
Yeah, no, it's Mike.
It's Mike. All right. Good thing, bad thing?
First of all, never good when someone loses their job. I know people. Take it to the heart. Like people rejoicing in the streets. Shula.
It's better for the team.
Better, yeah. So yeah, you can clean it up by saying better for the team. But this is something. It sounded like I've been in Charlotte for close to 3 years now, and all I've ever heard is negativity about Mike Shula. Okay. So it's just like, and these are from Panther fans, and the word fanatic,
right.
Whatever. So fans typically are crazy. No offense.
You appreciate your fans, right?
Yeah. But it was time for change, and this team had probably gotten as far as they could with Shula as the offensive coordinator. And not saying he was bad at his role, not saying he was amazing at his role.
You mean good and bad from Shula?
You got 2015, you got that year and where they had the #1 scoring offense, and it seemed like every play he was calling was the right one.
Okay.
And then you got the last 2 years where everyone's looking at these plays and they're like, how can you call this? How can you do that? Because everyone's an armchair quarterback all of a sudden. They're like, I would have called this play. And we don't know. Right. But we can speculate, of course. And it just seems like it was time to get a different voice, and not just Cam's ear, but the offense, and bring something to the team. And we hear it all around the NFL. Sometimes things get stale. Andy Reid in Philadelphia for so long, the players just kind of stopped responding to him. He goes to Kansas City and has success. Was it because he's a bad coach? No, but sometimes you just need change. You need something new. So hopefully, whatever does happen, because we hear the reports of a deal's almost final with North Turner, and then hold on, it's not final. They met, but he went back to California, so nothing's in stone. So we're kind of just in limbo, waiting to see what happens. But the thing with head coach Ron Rivera is it seems like he wants familiarity, and he worked with North Turner obviously out in San Diego, and they already have some of his family on the staff, so there's that kind of dynamic, and we know what he was able to do with Dallas back in the early 90s and back-to-back Super Bowls working with Troy Aikman. And then you've got his time with San Diego, and while they didn't win the big one, they were a top 5 offense for a stretch. I think it was 5 years in a row. So with weapons, though, is the thing. With weapons on that team. So you think if you could stack the deck for the Panthers and bring in a guy like Turner, if that's what does indeed happen, then you kind of like what he would bring to this team. For the mere fact that he's worked with quarterbacks, top-tier quarterbacks, Aikman. He worked with Rivers, obviously. He had Breeze for a year, but still when he was out in San Diego. And, a lot of what I've been reading about him is his focus is not, he says, Cam's got a cannon for an arm. But he said having a strong arm isn't, the end-all, be-all. It's about decision-making. Right. And that's what you want to hear from a guy coming in. He wants to work with his quarterback on teaching him when to throw and where to throw and how to kind of read defenses and make good decisions. Yeah. As opposed to, like, we're going to open this offense up and throw it all over the yard. No, he's looking at decision making, and that's something Panther fans should be excited about if Turner indeed is the guy.
If he's the guy. One comment about Shula on my side, I just never liked this guy's ability to make adjustments after the half. Yeah. I've never got to get really, really analytical in the football. I just like to enjoy it and report on what I'm seeing. But I said, you know what? And I started thinking this when we were playing, the Super Bowl year. Yeah. When we lost to Denver. And then the next year, first game was against Denver.
Yep.
And I said, man, if you look at these games, teams go in at halftime.
Right.
They come out and they make an adjustment, and we suffer in that second half, right?
Yeah.
We struggle in that first half. You never see an uptick in our team in that second half.
Yeah.
They might continue doing good if they were doing good, but you never see, like, go in the locker room, come out, "Arr."
Right.
You might see the defense spike up a little bit, but you
Yep.
never see us
The adjustment.
change. Yeah.
Right.
So you spoke about Nerve Turner. You said that he's been good, but he has weapons. Are you saying we need some more weapons for Cam?
I am. You know, and it's such an interesting dynamic because a lot of people will be like, well, you had weapons. You had Kelvin Benjamin and you traded him away.
Good or bad?
Different weapons. I don't think it was bad because the team kind of did take off for a period after letting him go. Mm-hmm. And I always think he, great red zone threat. I always wonder, see, here's the thing, and maybe this comes back to play calling, but I always wondered why in the red zone they never had Funch on one side, Kelvin on the other side, Olsen obviously lined up in the middle, see whoever doesn't get the double coverage and throw that jump ball.
You got three huge guys.
And that never seemed to be, like, I never, because they worked on it. We saw it in training camp. Yeah. It was always Cam throwing corner jump balls to Kelvin. Yeah. But in the game, how many jump balls can you remember to Kelvin in the end zone?
I was going to say you'd see some, but they were deep balls that he might jump up and get.
Right, like he caught one when they played, I think, the Lions or something like that. It was like a deep ball against the Raiders last year. They were deep ball, but when they get in the red zone, like inside like the 10-yard line, you would think, like, drop back and just throw that fade to the corner and have your guy go up and make a play. And they really, maybe once or twice, I can remember them doing that in the 3 years I was here. I always thought that was interesting because I thought having that height was such a red zone threat. But what do I know? But do they need more weapons? Yes. They need a number one receiver.
Well, let me ask you this, though. I go to say that we did do a good job of getting a lot of weapons this offseason, right? Because you look at the start of this season, I remember talking to Damiere Byrd. I don't know how many we had on the roster, 12, 15. Yeah. We had like a ton of wide receivers. Yeah. So I feel like they knew that they needed them and they went out to get them. But I feel like, they got hurt.
Yeah.
Not that these guys are going to be bona fide number one, but Damiere Byrd was doing good and he got hurt several times this season. And then Curtis Samuel, again, developing, doing well, and he got hurt. So I kind of question what difference we would have had with those guys had they been able to be injury-free and give us that dynamic look.
Right. They were missing a deep threat when Byrd got hurt and Samuel got hurt, of course.
Yeah. Samuel really never got started.
He never got started. You're right. He was, it's almost like a redshirt year for him, really.
And then let me throw one more thing at you.
Yeah.
And so keeping in mind that we did have these guys that got hurt, right?
Yeah.
Do we scrap them because do we start saying, well, the fast, speedy guys we want, they're small and they're getting hurt. So do we adjust and just go back to just having an average size, average speed guy?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the thing. I think you need like variety. You need your big receiver, and you got that in Funchess. He's almost your possession guy.
Right.
You got speed with Damiere Byrd when he comes back. Curtis Samuel is kind of like a little bit of an X factor because you line him up in the slot. You can have him go deep. If he can stay healthy and he can figure it out, because remember, he is probably going to be treated almost like a rookie again next year. Yeah. He's still got to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah.
But and like number one receivers don't grow on trees. There's not like Julio Joneses and Odells out there and Des Bryant's just like waiting on the open market. There really aren't number one receivers out there right now.
Right.
So you could say like Panther fans would be like, hey, they need to go out and get a number one. They need to go get a Julio. Who are they going to get?
They have to develop.
You got to develop them, and maybe you can draft one. But, it's not like they haven't been drafting receivers the last couple of years. They just, for whatever reason, haven't developed into what they hope. But, you did draft Funchess, and, he had his best year as a pro this year. Mm-hmm. You drafted Kelvin when you had him, and he had some good years. But it's just about – it's tough with that offense, trying to figure it out because – like McCaffrey is a great weapon, and we really saw him starting to figure things out this year, and you're waiting for him to make the big play, and then he makes it against the Saints. He makes
he's just
like gone, but But if he could piggyback off that and you continue to use him, because, I mean, people, it's funny from the outside because everyone going in, and maybe the media is part of this to blame.
We're never to blame. Maybe you're to blame.
I hear this all the time. What do you do?
You loaded us up with hope.
Right. So he was like, and I was saying it in training camp, I was like, temper your expectations on Christian McCaffrey. Not because I don't think he's a good player, but because, A, he's a rook. B, he's not going to line up in the backfield and carry the ball like 30 times.
They tried at the beginning.
They tried in the beginning. In that San Francisco game, I was like, McCaffrey again? Again. But he was going to be a guy that touched the ball 15 to 20, but it was going to be different spots. He'll carry it here, catch it out of the backfield. He'll line up as a wideout, line up in the slot. And he still broke the rookie record for the Panthers with receptions. Yeah. So there's nothing to sneeze at, but people thought every time he touched the ball, he was going to just shake somebody and go the distance.
It's his fault. That video that he put out with his feet thing, man, was just like amazing. You just think this guy's going to be God on the field. So let's blame it on Christian.
Let's blame it on him. It didn't help when everybody was tweeting out during training camp. He like shook Luke one day. Like, oh my God.
He's going to shake everybody.
Yeah, and it's just like that drill's designed for the offense to win. Like Luke can't haul off and tackle him.
Right.
But back to weapons. I mean, they have the pieces when healthy. I just think they're missing a receiver.
Okay.
And then there's the question.
One that's not on the roster?
One that's not on the roster.
Okay.
Right. And who knows what they're able to go out and get this offseason. I'm sure they're looking at that now.
We might have to use our trade bait Burson. He's a possession receiver. See if we can't get something.
Burst. Every year they have to call on Burst, and he steps up to the plate. He continues to let go by the Panthers, and then all of a sudden something happens. They're like, Burst, you good?
What you doing?
He's like, oh yeah, I could be there in 5 minutes. All right, and,
come on down.
And he still knows the routes and everything. So, but they just, when you're looking out on the field against the Saints, and you saw, Funch was banged up obviously with the shoulder, and then you're looking at, Kalen Clay, young guy, and he's made some plays for them, but in big games, you want to be relying on him. You got no Bird, you got no Samuel, and then Russell Shepard. I can't remember the last catch he made.
Right.
I remember week 1, the touchdown, but other than that, and then who else are you throwing? Are you throwing a Burson out there, and it doesn't intimidate you. That's the point. I'm not saying it's easy to get these receivers.
Right.
But you kind of want, say like, oh, we got to know where Funchess is at all times. So we got to know where his. I mean, you got Olsen, so you don't want to ever.
Out. How many weeks? 6.
But
6
he missed. Yeah, he missed a good chunk. So
we'll see. All right, we're gonna close out with some quick thoughts, man. And let's see. Like that dramatic pause there? I do dramatic pauses sometimes.
I see. You got to let it build. We're going to close out here.
We're going to close out. So Andrew Norwell, does he stay or does he go?
I think if you're the Panthers, you sign him.
Sign him?
He needs to stay. Is someone going to overpay for him? That's the question. But
stay.
All
right, next one is Derek Anderson.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
He's a Panther lifer until they tell him don't come back.
You just hurt my son. He wants him to go so bad.
Well, here's the thing. You shouldn't be relying on Derek Anderson, really.
Well, he says that we need to go ahead and really get into development of the next person.
That is true. But you could still do that. You could put him on a practice squad.
You could. All right. So since these are quick hits, I want to stay on that one.
I like to talk a lot.
Jonathan Stewart. Is he going to be with us next year?
He's going to be there, yes. I know a lot of people say get rid of him. I think he's going to be back.
I mean, my heart's with it, but business-wise, I feel like
it's a big hit. It's a big hit. But think of the guys you got coming up.
Doesn't he have a nice contract too?
He does, but you got some guys coming off the books also. Charles Johnson's deal is going to be off the table.
You read my questions? God. Is Charles going to stay or go?
I think he's done.
He's done?
I think he would want to give it another try, but I don't think the Panthers are going to bring him back.
Okay.
For the mere fact that he was inactive.
The
playoff game. That says a lot.
So he was active that Falcons game? Because he was eligible.
He was active, yes. He played in the Falcons game.
Okay.
He was not active for the playoff game.
All right. Last one. Marty Hurney. Is he going to remain our general manager?
Yes. Stability, key word with the Panthers right now.
Okay.
So I think locked up Ron until 2020. They're trying to deal with everything else going on with new ownership coming in and all these new coordinators. And they want to do some form of stability, and I think maybe that's on a short-term deal with Marty.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want to deal with trying to replace him this offseason in addition to ownership and all the like there's a lot going on, and they need something to be stable.
Some stability there.
Yes.
All right, still quick hits because you just made me remember that I forgot something.
Yeah.
With the new owners, are they going to move the stadium or keep it?
Eventually move it, yes. It's not going to be something they can do right now.
I'm sorry, I said move the stadium. Move the team or not?
Move the team? No, not out of the Carolinas.
Okay,
no.
so the team stays.
Team stays.
But you say, it sounds like you're saying a new stadium.
A new stadium is going to happen because from everything we're hearing, especially with Felix Sabatis and his group wanting to come in and purchase the team, the goal is not just to be able to house the Panthers. They want to bring NCAA tournament. They want to get in the running for a Super Bowl. So to do all that, if the possibility of a baseball stadium comes maybe one day, you can find some land, say out by Carowinds, and build sort of a complex.
Right.
You don't think that's going to pop into their head like, ooh, we can do this. There's
we're
land
in it for
out
the money,
here.
right? We're businessmen.
We're businessmen, so why not do that? So I do think they're going to want to do that for the mere fact of build something. What's the saying? If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, right.
You build it, you can bring stuff here. So that's my thought.
So with the dome, will it have to be the retractable dome?
I think that's like the new wave. I think it'll have to be. But I don't know.
Can we have real
Charlotte,
grass if we do that?
Yeah,
Does Dallas have real grass or they got turf? Dallas has turf?
Dallas has turf.
Does Arizona's field? I thought it was one stadium
that has a dome and still has
real grass.
It could be Dallas. You could be right.
Hey, just read the comments below. We got to wrap up. So Josh, look into this camera and let these people know how to keep in touch with you.
Yep. You can tune in to Fox 46. I anchor the sports every Friday and Saturday for sure, and then certain days during the week I do when Chuck Howard is kind enough to not anchor, so I can.
Right.
But you can also check me out on Twitter at JoshFox46. And on Instagram.
And he's verified, folks. He's official.
I do have a blue check mark. I don't know why.
Because you're official.
I'm not that big. On Instagram, jsims287. And my Facebook page, JoshFox46. I'm out there. You can find me.
Your MySpace?
My MySpace. You guys still doing MySpace or what? Is that still a thing?
Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure, Mr. Jenkins.
And for you guys that are watching, as always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave your comments below. You guys are the reason I'm able to get guys like Josh on the show, so I appreciate you very much. And have a good one.